Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Mudia Evans show. I'm so excited to be doing this once more. It's been 5 years since I took a break from social media. 5 good years. I wanted to say 5 fucking years. And it's been wonderful. But I'm here to share with you that journey. I'm here to share with you what it's like to take a social media detox. Some people do it for a week, others a month, others a year, others a couple of years, like myself, depending on how good you are at taking these kind of breaks anyway. So I'll share with you why I took one, what I did, and how I did it. So I'll help you answer those 3 questions to help you decide if it's a good thing for you to take it as well. Good? Wonderful. So 5 years ago, I took a break from social media. That was driven by my experience being on social media for a couple of years. So if I can take a step back, after completing my school, let me even take it even farther back. I first joined social media or a social media platform in 2010. I was then still in high school, so I created an account on Facebook through the help of a friend of mine. And so from there I would go on Facebook, poke a few friends, but thank God we only had access to Facebook through when we were on holiday. That used to be, 3 times in a year, and sometimes we'd be so busy to even find time to be on social media. However, we would sneak out here and there to try to check our social media platforms. I remember, for example, there's a time we were caught in a lab, a computer lab with my friends, trying to access the internet using the computers, and I was using my friend's phone, which was illegal in that school. The phone was taken away by the teacher or the priest. A story for another day. And that tells you how I wanted to be on the know-how. I thought that was where the world was moving towards, social media. The internet, I wasn't very sure of it. All I knew about the internet is social media, connecting people. But later, I now know better anyway. So after that, we completed our 4th form. I was employed briefly after the 4th form before I joined campus, and it's during that period I really came into contact with social media platforms and what it has to offer. And I did a lot of them. I spent a lot of time on social media. Then I joined campus. Fortunately, or should I say unfortunately, what led to this is that while still in campus in the 2nd year, I got involved with an online marketing company, putting me in the middle of social media again. When I thought I was leaving, I was getting right into it. And so from there on, for a couple of years, I was involved with that company, and it got me into an addiction, for lack of a better word. I know they say there are different types of addictions. I agree. We have alcohol is said to be the biggest addiction in the world. Out of every 20 deaths in a year, 1 is from alcoholism. And there are many reasons that is so, because it's the most alcohol is the most abused drug. Well, today I'm sorry to inform you that alcohol is not the biggest addiction we have. Instead, we have something called social media. If you combine all of them, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok now, and the rest of the platforms, they're offering so much, and that makes them a dangerous thing, and that will only get worse with time, because you can imagine the smartphone revolution is only getting better with time. More people are getting their hands into a smartphone, and I don't want to imagine what it would be like. So 5 years ago, after being on social media for many years, including Instagram, some of you knew me from Instagram. I used to run what were we calling it back then? A follow train. I used to run a follow train, again with Mutea on Instagram. It was very popular at the time. We made some money from that, got some popularity from that. But it's around that period that I realized where things was going would cost me more trouble than good. So because of that addiction, I would barely do anything with my life. I was ever on social media. I was ever thinking of social media. I was making my decisions based on social media, and so I felt it was time to leave, to get it out of my life. And so I did. I deleted my Instagram account, the very Instagram account I was using at the time. Facebook account was only left with the Facebook page. You know, with a page, the beauty of a Facebook page, you're able to use it, or you could be able to use it back then without you having access to the timeline, all right, or the news feed. And so I used that for some time, but I was very, very passive. I was not an active user anymore. Same to YouTube and the rest of the platforms, basically. And that was the case. And during that period, I decided to leave social media completely and have a normal life. For me, what I learned at around that period is that there are three major stages that every human should go through. Three major stages. One is childhood, between the age of 1 and 10. Then we have teenage, between the age of 13 and 19. Every child should go through that. And the early adult life, that is in your 20s. So what I realized is that social media was getting me out of that, and I needed to get that back. I needed to enjoy my 20s, and social media was not giving me that opportunity. So I gave up on social media, or I left social media completely and decided it was time I enjoy life. So I'm here to tell you I have done that. I also wanted to focus on my studies because I realized my studies were taking a toll. They were lagging behind compared to my social media activities. I was forgetting I was still a student. So I needed that. And I'm happy to tell you, to report to you that last year, around December, I finally graduated, and I feel I've done something with my 20s, and I'm looking forward to my 30s anyway. That's basically the reason why I decided to drop social media. I had no interest in making it 5 years. My interest in the first place, or at the beginning, were for just 6 months to a year, then I would be back. However, I felt so whole. I felt I got my life back. I felt I would require more time out there. And that was time to be, to be young, to go out and have fun without people pointing at you. Hey, I know that guy from... I was not happy with that. And so I get here to report I've done all that. I feel very fulfilled for doing that. And now I'm ready for the next chapter that is coming soon. That was the why. So what I did is basically left social media platforms because I know myself. Some of you, we are built different. In fact, it said, I think around 40% of addictions, even alcohol addiction, is genetic. How someone is wired, how someone is built. And so I understood that very early. And because I know myself, whenever I get into something, I get fully in, I knew the only way to avoid it is to get out. Otherwise, I was getting a lot of dopamine from that, and I would crave for it every other day. You may not know you're addicted to social media. You may not know it, but most people are. We have more people addicted to social media than alcohol and all the other drugs combined. That's how bad it is, and it can only get worse. So if you're listening to me and you know you're going through something with your social media, with your TikTok, with your Instagram, with your YouTube, with your Facebook, it's time you do something about it, because it will affect you, just like alcoholism affects people out there. All right, so that's what I did. For me, I had to totally, completely leave. I even reduced the time I used to spend on my phone. It said today the average person spends around 4 hours on their phone. 4 good hours per day on their phones. To me, that's extreme. I can't take that. Why? if you have a full-time job, you're required to be there for around 8 hours. So, and most people have a full-time job and a part-time job. So it simply means social media is your part-time job that is not paying you. And what makes it even worse is that worse of an addiction than even alcohol is the accessibility. You have access to it from any part of this world. Alcohol, you have to go somewhere and buy, and sometimes it's out of stock. But social media, yet to I don't remember the last time I heard that all the social media platforms were out of stock. It rarely happens, and it's very cheap. You know why alcohol is expensive? To discourage you from drinking. But social media is the cheapest addiction there is, and that way, that makes it a huge threat to all of us. But you can do something about it. The same way the government tries to, control alcohol and other drugs, we can control this. It's the only way. We can't live without it. We can't live without alcohol. No one can totally ban alcohol. People can't live without it. It's a part of us today. And so we can make these also, we should appreciate it's a part of us and find a way to live with it. And that's I'll be talking about that on the way forward. So that's the what I did. The how, it was simple. I cut ties with most of the people I was involved in when it comes to social media. I had a lot of networks. I was also involved a lot in fashion, fashion, social media fashion. I had so many friends there, so many events we used to do back then, 5 years ago, that were pretty productive, but they were only fueling my addiction to social media. I would barely bake anything or cook anything, and I love food. You may not see the results here, but I really love food, and I love cooking or making my own food. And so when I got to that point, I realized something needed to be done, and I'm happy I did it. I've had the best 5 years of my life, experienced so much, connected more, met more people. Well, I can't say it has been all positive. I've received very negative effects of the same, including sometimes being unreachable and never worrying about it. When your phone goes off for an entire weekend and you don't care, that's one of the things I've been through. I go for days without being online or checking on WhatsApp, Instagram, and sometimes I miss deals and business communications and such things. I remember there's a time we were somewhere with my friends, and for an entire weekend I didn't receive one single phone call, and so they were wondering, how do you live? And so it hit me, and I was asking myself, how do I live that for an entire weekend, man? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, no calls. No one is even worried if I'm alive or not. And anyway, I explained to them later that I was on a period, a detox period, and I explained that to the people close to me, and they understood it because they had seen that I was suffering going through it. So that has been it. Then COVID-19 happened. Of course, that accelerated the use of social media, the growth. There was the social media craze. There was the content creation craze on YouTube. Everyone became a YouTuber. Everyone on social media, content creator. And that made me stay out even longer because I felt now this is getting out of control. And what I like about that period is that it introduced so many people to social media that now the only people who will be doing social media are the serious, the professionals. The only people left on social media now are the professionals, people who are doing it, understanding how it works, what it brings to them, and the benefits it has. And so that's the very reason I feel this is the ideal time for me to be back. So you can expect to see more of me now. Of course, it's more controlled. I'm no longer an addict of social media on my phone. I'm no longer a slave. I'm a free man. But I'll be using social media for the right stuff. So expect some great content. If you used to follow me back then, my accounts are back. You can check me out on all social media platforms. It's at Mutea Evans, Muteaevans. So what do I advise everyone who's watching this video? If you feel you're addicted, the earlier you take a break from social media, the better. Yes, I want you to watch my videos. I want you to like my photos and whatever else I'll be sharing. But I care enough to tell you the truth. Please, if you feel you're addicted, if you get angry when your phone is off and you can't access the internet, when you feel you have to keep checking your social media platforms, if you can't go for a day without checking your social media platforms, it's time to step back or to step out. All right? You'll remember me later. You'll thank me later. Do me a favor, or do yourself a favor, in fact. Do yourself the biggest favor. Step out. All right? Take a break. You'll come back stronger. You may not do 5 years like myself. 5 years from today, you come back and find the world is gone. You may not have the luxury to do that, but you can do 6 months. You can do a month, several weeks to just break that addiction, and you'll have done yourself a big favor. Thank you so much for watching. For this and similar videos, be sure to subscribe to this channel and give me thumbs up as a welcome to YouTube and social media. Thank you so much for watching these videos. See you in the next one.